sure that most of you are aware of what eChampions is. If you're not, please make sure that you ask myself or Jonathan or one of the members of Access about what's actually going on with eChampions. It's a very, very exciting ESF program, funded program that we have going on here at the center. Okay, so we're here to look at Google Analytics. My name is Bjorn LaRue. Most of you already know me. We're also here to talk about some of the features in Google Analytics, so kind of what we should be measuring and what we can actually do with Google Analytics. So there's more to it than just the basic setup and looking at it. We're actually going to look at some of the things that we should be doing in analytics if you do have an account already. Okay, key things to know about analytics for those of you that you have not signed up and are maybe not as confident in it is that it's free, so there's no payment to it. A lot of people kind of, well, I'm not too sure whether we should put it onto our website. It's going to cost us. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It also allows us to make proper analytic decisions about our data that comes back from our website. So it's not guesswork. We don't have to say, well, I think there are so many people visiting and I think we got so many conversions. We know for a fact, based on numbers coming back from analytics, the stats in our website, that we are getting certain number of visitors, certain number of hits, certain number of bounces, and that sort of thing. One of the things that you can use analytics for as well is to actually test changes. If you are making changes to your website, it's a good idea to actually have analytics running before you make those changes so that you can gather a baseline of what your expected traffic is, what your previous traffic is to the changes that you might make. So one of the very, very useful things with analytics, as from the point of a web developer and a web designer, is that if you are going to make changes, if you're going to tweak a website, make sure you know what your baselines are, what your existing information, your existing stats is before you go and make those changes so that you can do comparisons. And also very, very good for saving money on PPC. If you are frittering around playing with PPC, if you're playing with pay-per-click and you're paying money for keywords and competing for keywords, you can actually see what kind of conversions you're getting into the website, how long those people that are actually coming into the website from those paid clicks are spending on the website, and also what kind of things they're looking at on the website. So it's actually interesting to see what the bounce rates are, for example, for pay-per-click. Someone might be clicking on your links quite a lot, or one of your links or on your adverts quite a lot, but not actually going in and visiting the rest of the site. So some of the things I'm going to look at, I will very, very, very quickly go into how to set it up, because nearly all of you have set up Google Analytics before. What I'll do is I'll point out some key things that you need to make sure that you have done once you've set it up. I'll also just talk about how to share your data very, very quickly, once again, for those e-champions that are wanting to share their data with us so that we can run some reports and then compare you to other people and give you some information back as well. I'll show you how to filter traffic, internal traffic, quickly again, because it's one of those very easy things to do. All that sort of stuff is very easy. The more interesting stuff, though, is how to set up goals, how to set up funnels, how do we monetize those clicks as people actually come through onto the site. We'll look at the different types of metrics and how you should be responding to them. Okay, some of them you don't need to bother about. Sometimes you can get too much information from analytics. Sometimes you can get information that's not relevant to you, so you don't need to take account of all of it. Sometimes you want to basically filter it out. So how you should respond to certain types of stats, and then we'll also take a look at some extras, some extra bits, things like advanced segmentation. If we've got time, we'll look at things like advanced segmentation and how we go about making analytics a little bit more streamlined for us. If you've not got a Google Analytics account, you can go and register for an account at google.com/analytics. You don't have to have a Gmail account. A lot of people kind of assume, well, if I want to set up analytics, I have to have a Gmail account. You don't have to have a Gmail or Google Mail account. You can set up Google Analytics on any domain or any email address you like. And then once you have registered with it, you'll have an analytics account associated with your email address, and once you get into that, you can start setting it up. The first thing that you need to make sure that you do to actually get analytics working is copy a piece of code that comes from the tracking section on the analytics website. There's a tracking section that gives you the ability to copy a piece of code that needs to go onto every page that you want to measure on the website. Now that's important. A lot of people assume that when I copy this code onto my website, it's only onto the home page. If you copy it only onto the home page, you're only tracking metrics or only tracking stats for the home page. So I usually build it into my footers. I usually generate my footers dynamically using PHP, and I usually insert it as part of my footers onto all the pages that I want to track. Pages that you don't want to track, you don't want stats from. So things like your backend, your admin sections and that sort of stuff, you might not want to track that information, so don't put that code on there. It's JavaScript code. You can, if you have taken the standard tracking code, you will get literally all of the tracking switched on. You can go and customize the tracking as well through the advanced tab. So there is different code for the more advanced code, the more advanced tracking modules, tracking code modules as well. So if you, for example, you don't want to track e-commerce sites, or if you don't want to track PHP pages, you don't want to track certain types of content, you can go into advanced and filter out what type of content you want to have tracked in the tracking code. But for most of us, the standard tracking code is okay. That code you copy from the Google website and you paste it onto the pages that you want to track. Now, it should go into the bottom of the page. So exactly around about there is where the tracking code should be. The reason it should be there is that the page wants to display, and then you want to do the Google tracking stuff. You don't want the Google tracking stuff to happen before your page displays or slow down the load of your page. So it happens right at the bottom of the page. Okay, a couple of things to talk about first. If you are an e-champion and you do want to share your data with us, it is possible. It is possible for you to give daughter the ability to see your analytics stats, so that she can then put you in as part of the metrics that they're doing as part of the e-champion studies. If you want to do that, once you log into Google Analytics, and you're welcome to do this, you're welcome to follow along in your own Google Analytics account. When you log in into Google Analytics, you will see at the bottom a user manager section. And in the user manager section, it should say, when you first set up Google Analytics, number of users 1. That should be your email address, your account that you've got associated with Google Analytics. You can then go in and click on User Manager, and from there, you're able to actually share by adding a user to your User Manager. So you can decide who is able to see your Google Analytics stats. The third stage, once you've added a user, put the email address in, choose what you want them to be able to do with your stats, whether you just want them to view it or whether you want them to be able to administer it, and then you just choose the websites that you want them to be able to access, press on Add, and that will add them as a user that's able to either see or administer those websites in your Google Analytics. Next, and probably the most important thing, it's one of the things I do first, actually, when it comes to me personally setting up Google Analytics, is actually make sure that you filter out any traffic that you might regularly have to your website that you don't want to have counted as part of the stats. So quite often, for example, we visit the Access Center website as members of staff to log in to the back-end section, the admin section of the website. We might want to just get somebody a price, go to the website, get the latest dates, get the latest prices. We don't want to count that traffic. So it is possible for us to filter out certain traffic sources. So for example, what we've done here is we've filtered out the college's IP address. Anytime the college's machines access the internet, they do it via the college's external IP address. We've found that IP address and we've put it into our Google Analytics so it doesn't count any hits that come from that IP address. So anyone sitting in the office who's viewing that, viewing our website doesn't come in as part of the stats that we get in Google Analytics. Now you might want to do this for your office address, or you might want to do it from your home address if you're working from home. Find out what your home IP address is. Does everyone know how to do that? Yeah. How do you do that? Okay, there's a couple of ways you can do it. The hard way is to go into your router, find out what IP address has been assigned to you via your ISP. No, you don't want to do that. If you go into Google, you can actually do a search for what is my IP. There's actually a website called What is my IP, and if you just click on that, we should all get the same number here because we're all going out through the same address. My IP address for here, our IP address should be 86.21.13.44. Should be 4 digits, 4 numbers between 0 and 255. So you write down the IP address, and once we know what the IP address is, we go into the edit section on your website. So for example, the eChampions website, I click on edit. I would go into the add filter button. There's an add filter button in the edit section, the settings. Click on add filter, and what we can do then from the window that pops up is go in and say, well, I want to add a new filter. I can say what I want to call the filter. So I might call the filter from here Castle College filter. So I'm filtering out Castle College. So it's important that you do that. And once again, any trouble doing that at all, and if you're not sure, if you're not confident you've set it up correctly, just ask myself, ask daughter how to do it, and we'll make sure you've got it set up correctly.